Together tales, stories and songs to cheer us along. Together tales, stories and songs to cheer us along. Hey! Episode 12, Election Edition, Sandpiper and Whale.
Hi friends, I'm Jen.
And I'm Nat.
And together we're the
Whitman Tellers.
And we're here with a special election edition of
Dun, 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 dun. Together Tales.
Stories and Songs
To cheer us along. Well, I feel like we need a lot of cheering as we wait for voting counts to be tallied.
In the United States right now, we're waiting and waiting to find out who our president will be. 20 years ago, there was another election, and people couldn't decide who had more votes. Everyone said it was too close to call. And this election makes us think about that election. Mm-hmm. At that time, we were learning this story. It's a folktale from the Marshall Islands.
It's about whales and sandpiper birds.
And we thought we'd share it with you today to listen to while we wait. So here's the story of
Sandpiper and Whale.
Every morning, Sandpiper, little tiny Sandpiper, would wade out into the water and slurp up some small fish for breakfast. Can you try that with me?
Well, while Sandpiper was doing that, Whale was swimming by. Whale said, "Sandpiper, Sandpiper, what are you doing in the water? Don't you know that the water belongs to the whales?"
Well, that's not true. The water belongs to the Sandpipers.
Everyone knows that the water belongs to the whales. Now you get out of my water, Sandpiper.
I have a right to be here if I want to be. And besides, there are more Sandpipers than there are whales.
There are more whales than there are sandpipers.
More Sandpipers.
More whales.
More Sandpipers.
More whales.
More Sandpipers.
More whales. Everyone knows there are more whales than there are sandpipers, and I will prove it to you. And I will call my whale brothers and sisters here right now. And then Whale went out into the ocean, and he called all of his whale brothers and sisters, and he said, "Whales to the north, whales to the south, come to this island. Whales to the east, whales to the west, come to this island."
And from the north?
There came all sorts of whales.
From the south?
There were humpback whales,
From the
narwhals,
east?
blue
From
whales.
the west?
And so many whales were around that island that the water was churning and thrashing with the spray of the whale spouts.
Well, that's a lot of whales, said Sandpiper, but it's okay. I have way more Sandpiper sisters and brothers that can come. I'll show you. Sandpipers north, Sandpipers south, come quick to this island. Sandpipers east, Sandpipers west, come quick to this island.
And from the north,
there came Sandpipers.
from the south,
There were gray Sandpipers.
From the
there were brown
east.
Sandpipers. Some were
From the
big,
west.
some were smaller. And soon, all along the shore, the beach was covered with Sandpipers.
but,
Were there more Sandpipers?
or were there more whales? Or were there more whales?
Or were there more Sandpipers?
It was too close to call. Well, everyone knows there are more whale cousins than there are sandpiper cousins.
That's not true. There's more Sandpiper cousins.
More whale cousins.
More Sandpiper cousins.
More whale cousins.
More Sandpiper cousins.
More whale cousins. And so Whale went out and he called all of his whale cousins. And he said, "Cousins from the north, cousins from the south, come to my island. Cousins from the east, cousins from the west, come to this island."
And from the north?
There came all sorts of dolphins.
And from the south?
Seals. There were
And
many
from the
different types of
east?
otters.
And from the
various
west?
types of sea creatures that all swarmed around that island until the water was thrashing with sea creatures as far as the eye could see.
There's a lot of sea creatures. There were a lot of whale cousins. But Sandpiper wasn't worried. Ha ha! I'm going to show you, Whale. There are still way more Sandpiper cousins. Just watch. Cousins to the north, cousins to the south, come quick to this island. Cousins to the east, cousins to the west, come quick to this island.
And from the north?
There came lots of seabirds.
From the south?
Ooh, there were egrets.
From the
and there were
east?
pelicans.
From
there
the
were
west?
albatross.
But
Were there more sandpiper cousins?
Or were there more whale cousins? Or were there more whale
Or
cousins?
were there more sandpiper cousins?
It was too close to call. Well, said Whale, since we can't count how many there are, let's make things more interesting. I shall prove to you that I am stronger than you are, birds, and I will eat the island right out from under your feet. And so all of the whales and the whale cousins began to eat away at that island. And they munched at the island and crunched at the island and munched at the island and crunched at the island.
Can you try that?
Munched at the island and crunched at the island.
Munched at the island and crunched at the island. Munched at the island and crunched at the island.
Munched at the island.
Soon, the island, it was disappearing beneath those birds. There was no place for them to land. Soon they'd have no place to land. They were in trouble. Ooh, and they were angry. Sandpiper called all of her cousins together and said, "Cousins, we won't stand for this. They want to take away our land. Well, we will take away their water. Everyone quickly, let's start drinking up the water in the ocean." And they slurped, and they slurped. Can you try it? They slurped, and they slurped, and they slurped.
At the island.
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 And their
Munched at the
slurping
island.
went faster than the crunching. And the water began to disappear until those whale cousins were lying on that ocean floor. And they were gasping. And they were dying. And the seabird said, "Ha ha! We've won! We've won! We've won! We've won! There are more seabirds! There are more seabirds!" But then Sandpiper looked down and said, right there, with all the whale cousins, those little tiny fish that Sandpiper would eat every morning, they were dying too. Sandpiper looked at them and realized if there were no more little fish, there would be no more Sandpiper or Sandpiper cousins. "Stop! Stop! Oh, cousin, stop! This was a bad idea. Everyone, spit back out the water." And so, all of the Sandpiper cousins began to spit back out the water. Can you spit it back out?
And the sea creatures were finally able to swim and breathe again.
"Oh, whale, I am sorry," said Sandpiper. "This was a horrible idea."
And I'm sorry too. Eating the island was a terrible idea. Whale cousins, we need to spit back the island. Can everybody spit back the island? Ready? Glarg, 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 glarg. And soon the island was just as it used to be.
Thank you, whale. That's much better.
Thank you for bringing back the sea. And now the number of sandpipers and number of whales just didn't seem too important.
And so, all of the Sandpiper cousins flew back to their homes, to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west.
And all the whale cousins went back home too, north, south, east, and west.
And to this day, nobody really knows, are there more Sandpipers?
Or are there more whales? Or are there more whales?
Or are there more Sandpipers?
Who cares?
What matters is that now they care for each other.
And they take care of the sea
And the shore
together.
So that's the story of Sandpiper.
And whale.
It's a folktale from the Marshall Islands. You can find it in this book, Peace Tales, Folktales to Talk About, by Margaret Reed MacDonald. So that was our story to share for this election week. We know that right now it's been too close to
Call.
Well, remember that the important thing is that we care for each other.
And care for our country together. Thank you for joining us on an Election Day version of Together Tales.
Stories
And songs
to
to
cheer
cheer
us
us
along.
along.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Together Tales, Together Tales.